Yep, Tom Coughlin said it. His team played soft in the fourth quarter against the Steelers. For more on that, here's Laura Oakman.
Tom, one defensive player I talked to said there is no worse word to call a player than soft. He said, I wish that Coughlin would have said it in private, but he said it doesn't matter. Games, meeting, practices, words, everything that man does is strategic. Does the strategy pay off? He said our manhood was in question all week long. There were more guys in the film room and in the workout room on Tuesday. Practice intensity up all week. Does it stay up? We're about to find out.
Boy, thank you, Tom Coughlin, 66 years young, out of Waterloo, New York. At 65, became the oldest coach ever to win a Super Bowl a year ago. And your former defensive coordinator when you won the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens. The all-time winningest head coach in Bengals history is Marvin Lewis. Giants won the toss, will defer to the second half. And Lawrence Tynes spins it away, and this is Brandon Tate, 4 yards out of his own end zone. And Tate is tripped up at the 21. Cincinnati led by their second-year quarterback who went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie, leading the Bengals to the playoffs. Andy Dalton, and has some talented, skilled players around him.
Yeah, he does, and those skilled players can only be helped if they run the ball to set it up. Whitworth is going to anchor the line. Then Jarvis Green-Ellis hasn't really shown up in the running game the way they had envisioned. They need a big game today, and Green and Gresham, I tell you what, these guys, if they get the one-on-one matchups, can beat anybody in the league.
Dalton to throw it on first down, and immediately they come to A.J. Green, and the second-year standout. The fourth pick overall in last year's draft, went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie like Dalton did. But today they face a very good Giants team. Yes, they've been up and down. Yes, they've been inconsistent. But the Bengals are in hurry-up mode.
Yeah, you already talked about Jason Pierre-Paul. Tuck is a big part of that. They get Chase Blackburn back. That's huge from last week. The corners, Webster on the outside, and obviously the safeties as well to match up with the outside receivers and Gresham.
Second down pitch to Jarvis Green-Ellis, who signed as a free agent from New England. He picks up the first down.
I think it's interesting that when we talk about Tom Coughlin challenging his defense, said they were soft, yet he chose to defer and put that defense on the field first.
Holding the first down from the 33, and again going to work on Green. And he's got it. That'll be a pickup of close to 7 up to the 40-yard line, wrapped up by Amuka Mara. Much was made, as it generally is in New York, about comments that A.J. Green made. He was sort of lured in by the question being on a local radio show of Boomer Esiason, the former Bengal no less, about you must be salivating. There are a lot of holes in this Giants defense. As there's a carry very close to another Bengal first down by Green-Ellis. So it was interpreted by many as though Green was saying, yeah, they got a lot of holes in the defense.
Yeah, Green's not a diva. He's not the type to call a defense out. He was saying, yeah, I think we can do some damage here. We've been playing pretty good on the outside. So obviously the back and forth, and it's like the schoolyard. They go to that third grader and say, did you hear what so-and-so said? Naturally, after being called soft, I don't think the secondary of the Giants was all in too good a mood to hear that, yeah, we have holes in our secondary as well.
Antrell Roll specifically said you better duck if you're A.J. Green coming across the middle in this game here today. Fake it one way, looking for Green, wide open, and this will be a Bengals touchdown. A.J. Green leads the NFL, and that is his 9th receiving touchdown. This one 56 yards.
What we talk about, Tom, that this defense of the Giants is pretty good, but they've given up big play, and here's another one. You're going to see right here, Webster. He starts to peak. You don't see coming from the top. Gresham coming across the field. The way Webster played him, it looked like he thought something was going to be over the top, or he might have thought A.J. Green stepped out of bounds. Either way, Webster's wrong. A.J. Green was right.
Point after by Mike Nugent, the one-time New York Jet, to make it 7-0 Cincinnati on its opening drive. 8th consecutive game with a touchdown for A.J. Green.
A's Game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Couple of first downs and then the home run ball. Dalton to A.J. Green, spanning 56 yards. And not even 2.5 minutes into this one, the Bengals out in front of the Giants, 7-0.
That had nothing to do with soft. We've been talking a great deal about that. We talked about how Tom Coughlin challenged his team by putting the defense out there first. They didn't answer this challenge with this big play.
Nugent kicks it away, and the #1 pick out of Virginia Tech, David Wilson, is spun around and dropped inside the 20. We'll see where they spot him. How did A.J. Green, the most gifted offensive player on the field, get this wide open?
I think Stevie Brown is wrong here, the safety. He's down in here looking like he needed to come up to the shallow man. You see Gresham in behind him. He could have gone to Gresham as well. But right now it looked like Corey Webster turned back and thought that Stevie Brown was supposed to be in that deep outside third.
46 completions allowed, spanning 20 or more yards. That's more than any other team defensively in the NFL. Andre Brown starts in the backfield, and he'll make the catch. Still on his feet, and he's up to the 24-yard line. A gain of 4 on first down will bring up 2nd and 6. Eli Manning led the Giants to a pair of Super Bowl titles, and they're a little worried about Snee up front, the right guard.
They are. He got banged up a little bit in the Pittsburgh game. Ahmad Bradshaw has to have that big running game we talked about, and Cruz and Bennett are the go-to guys in this passing game of the Giants.
Fake it to Brown. Manning rolling, looking down the field, and it's incomplete. It brings up 3rd down. Cincinnati defensively ranks 20th in the NFL, although they do put pressure on the quarterback.
Pecco gives him great push on the inside. Malaluga has to be the leader on this defense. Marvin Lewis addressed that earlier in the week. And the 2 safeties, Crocker and Mays, they're new to the lineup right now. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them, both in the run and in the pass.
Incomplete. Good coverage by Adam Jones on Hakeem Nicks. So offensively, 3 and out for the Giants on their opening possession of the game.
Tom, we came in saying that 3rd down, that was a big problem on both sides of the ball for the Giants. They were 2 of 10 last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last thing they needed was to go 3 and out here on the road after having already given up a score to the Bengals.
Adam Jones, 1 punt return for a touchdown this year, has 5 in his career. This one is hammered by Weatherford and trickles out of bounds. There is a penalty flag down on the field. '61-yard boot by Weatherford, who started his career in 2006, months after Katrina had hit New Orleans, and now having to go through the terrible storm Sandy.
Member of the kicking team illegally out of bounds. The foul will be forced from the previous spot. Replay 4th down.
To finish that thought on Weatherford, of course, now punting for the New York Giants, and after Sandy, he got out there and helped deliver lunches to a number of the first responders during this week. He went over to Toms River High School in New Jersey, where over 1,000 people are still living at the school. So much, of course, made about what wasn't done in Katrina, and now there are a lot of people that feel like there's a lot not being done by so many in New York and New Jersey, and specifically Staten Island. And Weatherford trying to do all he can to give back and help those in need. Good for him.
And keep in mind, so many of the Giants are doing that, yet they also are impacted. A number of them just now getting back into their houses, so you give them great credit for that. Cincinnati Bengals dodged a bullet here. They got pinned down pretty good at that last punt. This gives them another chance.
What a great punt by Rutherford, backing up Adam Jones to the 20-yard line. And he's still on his feet, cuts it back the other way. And now Jones into the open field. He's got the punter to beat. Down the sideline, inside the 20. And Jones is dropped to the 10-yard line. No penalty flags down. 68-yard return for Adam Jones, and the Bengals in business on this second possession.
Well, you don't think penalties make a difference? They just went from pinning him down inside the 20. Looks like everybody kind of hesitated there a little bit, thinking that the other guy was going to tackle him. Got all bunched up. Adam Jones, you're not going to get him with a punter. They're lucky he did not score. Nice job of Weatherford continuing on to make the tackle from behind. But wow, what a huge break for Cincinnati.
75-yard difference were it not for the penalty. And now Dalton, the jump ball to Green. Out of bounds.
Boy, Andy Dalton wished he had gotten this thing up quicker. He didn't even have to make it a jump ball. He just flat beat Webster off the line. He didn't even have to do that back shoulder or go up for the ball, but he couldn't quite get both feet in. Andy Dalton would love to have that throw back, either earlier or just a little bit more inside.
Second down from the 11-yard line. Bengals trying to open a 2-score lead. Not even 5 minutes into this opening quarter. Bengals will spend a timeout. Play clock down to 3. So we will take a timeout. Giants on their heels to start this one in Cincinnati.
Sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
A little bit of confusion on the part of the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton telling A.J. Green or Gresham, hey, you're on the wrong side here. Have to burn a timeout early in the game. Marvin Lewis can't be happy with that.
Second down from the 11, and Dalton flushed out of the pocket, throws into the corner, and again incomplete. And again with an eye on Green, and once more in coverage it's Corey Webster.
It looks like when they man up, they want to put Corey Webster on A.J. Green. Both Webster and Amukamara have been on Green. Clearly this is the focus of the secondary of the New York Giants, to take away A.J. Green. They don't think that the Bengals can run on them even against a traditional front. And obviously the tight end Gresham has not yet shown up. Their focus right here, again, you can see on the right side. Webster and Green one-on-one with one another.
Third down, and Green watches his teammate Andrew Hawkins slips into the end zone. J-Ron Hosley, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, had Hawkins get away from him.
What a spectacular catch by Hawkins. Both teams mentioned Hawkins to us. You're going to see him just slip out here into the flat. Just a one-handed grab out there. Took an eyeball over onto Green. Just reached his hand up one-on-one. Really not bad coverage by Hosley. But what a phenomenal one-handed grab for the touchdown by Hawkins.
And what a shocking start so far here today. Bengals have lost 4 in a row. Tom Coughlin did not like the effort from his defense, and they are getting punished early today.
Game on Fox is sponsored by the 2013 Lexus LS and the all-new LS F Sport, an entirely new pursuit. By Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by State Farm, get to a better state with a discount double check.
World famous Grater's ice cream here in Cincinnati since 1870. That crowd you run with, Oprah Winfrey was the one who called that the best ice cream in the world.
Yeah, I hope my cardiologist isn't watching, because I'm going to get a phone call from him tomorrow. That is awful good.
Well, how about this? 48 games. Only the second time the Bengals have scored a pair of touchdowns in the opening quarter. Very short kick. And Wilson stumbles, tries to find a handle, and is tackled immediately at the 11-yard line. Well, the pro game today, the college game on Fox Saturday. Begins with a Pac-12 showdown. USC and UCLA get together, both ranked in the top 20. Then later, Oklahoma squares off against West Virginia. Coverage of Fox College football begins Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific.
Well, you can say your team is soft. You can say they're mushy. He used that term too. They're not focused right now. We're seeing it with breaks downs in the secondary. We're seeing it with muffed kickoffs. We're seeing a number of things that say at least up to this point, the Giants have not been ready to play this game.
Play clock down to 2-1. They get it off out of shotgun and caught in traffic by Dominic Hickson. And a flag comes in. Homecoming for Hicks, and he grew up the road in Columbus, Ohio.
I think we're going to see this defenseless player helmet to helmet. Boy, it doesn't have to be helmet to helmet. It can be shoulder pad, elbow, any part of the body that takes a shot at the head.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 58. Blows with the defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty from the end of the catch. Automatic.
And you can see Hickson just kind of goes down, and all of a sudden he kind of leads into it. That's a tough one for a defender. Certainly in no way was that intended. Was he aiming for it? Malaluga just trying to make the tackle, and the receiver just kind of crumpled into it. Marvin Lewis, primarily a defensive coach, can't be happy with it either, but it is the rule.
And Hickson is shaken up. They'll tend to him on the Giants sideline. First down up to the 35. First carry of the game for Ahmad Bradshaw, who's rushed for better than 600 yards this year. Early he had the back-to-back games against Cleveland and San Francisco, where he carried for over 300 yards, but foot problems have slowed him down. Much has been made this week about the Giants under Tom Coughlin to begin the year, and then their struggles beginning in the month of November, including a 4-game skid a season ago.
And Tom Coughlin didn't want to hear about that. He says you can throw whatever numbers you want. We've been pretty good over the years. He's actually right. They just haven't been good in November.
Bradshaw once more, and he's up across the 40 to the 42-yard line. It'll bring up another third down.
Third down's been the problem here the last couple weeks. You can hear this is just miscommunication on the outside, missed opportunities on third down, dropped balls has certainly been a factor as well. A lot of focus has gone to Eli Manning as being the problem, but there's a lot of things going on third down for Tom Coughlin's New York Giants.
We get to the 45-yard line, and Manning steps up, and down he goes back to the 35. Geno Atkins, the first man there, got help from Gathers, Pecco. Atkins last year led all interior defensive linemen in the NFL in sacks, and he's got 8 of them this year.
Well, you can see the pocket is just beginning to collapse on him, and at the last minute it just envelops Eli Manning. Nice coverage down the field.
Gathers actually will get credit for the sack. He was the first one there. Jones will sit this one out for Brandon Tate after the big return by Jones a moment ago, and he is leveled at the 28-yard line. Is that ball loose? Was the ball fumbled by Brandon Tate?
Well, the fact that they're still trying to sort this out says that they do see it as a fumble. Still, there you go. Mike Carey now finally signaling that it is the Giants' ball. This is a heck of a hit. Boy, just blows them up. No question the ball is out. Now it's a mad scramble to see who can come up with the ball. Looks like initially Will Hill, just brought up from the practice squad, was the first one to get to it. Don't know if he ended up with it, but he's the first one to have it.
Looks like Will Hill was the one who pulled that thing away from Tate after the big hit was leveled by Chase Blackburn. Blackburn, like Dominic Hickson, another native Buckeye. Blackburn grew up the road about an hour and a half north of here in Marysville, Ohio.
They said they wanted to get into this 3-wide package on first and second down to run the ball. We'll see if that's the way they want to open up with it here.
after the turnover with a delay. They do indeed run it with Bradshaw. Strong running down to the Cincinnati 21-yard line.
New York is a team that traditionally on first and second down is going to stay in 2 backs or 2 tight ends, Tom. But they said they wanted to get into the 3 wides package to see if they could create that proverbial lighter box, get the right number count so they'd have a better opportunity to run the ball. They've done exactly just that on first and second down in 3 wides.
Second and 5 out of the I formation. They're going to throw it, and it's Nix for a first down, and he's run out of bounds at the 12. And we went out to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the unbeaten Falcons had a 10-0 lead in New Orleans. That is until Chris Ivory had this spectacular run, not only staying in bounds here, but watch the stiff arm along the way. 56 yards, the longest run of his career. He had 48 yards rushing all season. That touchdown made it a 3-point game. Atlanta still on top. Tom and Brian.
Well, Drew Brees has owned the Atlanta Falcons in his career since leaving San Diego and coming to the Saints. Trailing by 3 in the opening quarter there. It's first down for the Giants. Back in the hands of Nix. And a good tackle in the open field and one-on-one coverage by Jones. Nix, in his first 3 seasons, so spectacular for the Giants.
Now this was a design run out of 3 wides, but I want you to watch right here. They bring the extra man into the box. Eli Manning just steps up and throws a smoke route to the outside. All that is, it means him and the receiver, in this case, Hakeem Nicks, they're the only ones that knew they were going to do that. They defeated the box by getting the ball outside quickly.
The Giants have not been all that impressive in the red zone this season. Back into the hands of Bradshaw, and he's stuck to the 7-yard line. It'll bring up third down.
I'm a little surprised to see them continue with this run mentality in 3 wides this far down, even if they do give you the right number count in the front. Everything is so condensed here. Those that even want to drop in the zone can come up and make the run. I imagine now with this 3 wides, you're going to see the ball in the air on third down.
Need to get to the 2 to convert a first down. Bradshaw denies first down yardage. And out comes the kick team led by Lawrence Tynes. So the Bengals come up with a third down stop.
Excellent open field tackle by Perfect. You're going to see him. He's dropping into his zone. Now as the ball drops up, you got to come up. Excuse me. Excellent come up. Nate Clemens is the one that took Ahmad Bradshaw down right from the get-go. That's an excellent. Perfect follows up. This is a great open field tackle, preventing the first down.
Tynes 23 yards out, and it is good. He has hit 35 in a row from inside of 40. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and to learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. And we salute indeed those who have served, are serving, will serve the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, and the NFL does the same. So after the Bengal turnover, the Giants 6 plays, 22 yards. But a field goal and trail with 5:34 to play in the opening quarter. 14-3. So Andy Dalton and company off to a pretty good start. Apparently Lawrence Tynes being reminded we kick off from here now. Great to have you with us from Cincinnati on this Sunday afternoon. Bengals in front 14-3 and begin this drive from their own 20-yard line. Jermaine Gresham, the tight end, is bumped out of bounds after a short pickup on first down.
Cincinnati's trying to play the same game. We talked about the Giants, who would get into 3 wides and see if they can create the right front to run against. Cincinnati going in a no huddle. Andy Dalton really looking forward to doing more no huddle, trying to do the same thing. It becomes a real game between he and defensive coordinator Perry Fuel as to what do I see and what's real.
Dalton 4 out of 6, 81 yards, and already a couple of touchdowns, including a 56-yarder to Green, and looking to end. Catch made all the way up to the 42-yard line by the backup tight end Orson Charles, and that's a first down.
This is a nice job by the Bengals in his formation here that you don't normally see in no huddle. Creates good, solid protection. Obviously keeping Andy Dalton upright with just a 2-man route here. Still allowed him to get the ball down the field.
Well, the 5th catch all year long by Charles, who backs up the very talented former #1 pick Jermaine Gresham.
No, it's not their stick.
Green Ellis out across the 45. That'll be a first down run of close to 5 yards. So the Bengals just continue to move right through this New York Giants defense.
And this is the way they'd love to do it. Even the no huddle. Keep the running game a priority. Hit this thing downhill. It's going to open up those big plays to Green and Gresham.
Let's go. Willie, go.
This communication there as Dalton and Green Ellis run into one another, and it's up to the 49-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 2 for the Bengals.
Well, this had disaster written all over it. Looks like Dalton thought he was going to go much wider, and Ben Jarvis Green Ellis wanted to bring this thing back just a little bit quicker. How often in that situation do you see the ball on the ground with that kind of miscommunication?
Giants already with a takeaway in the game today, 27 now on the year, leading to 96 points they have scored after forcing an opponent's turnover.
We're good. Hey, now, hey. Yeah, we're good. Lady!
Play clock down to 1, and they hand it off to Green Ellis, and he has a first down. Sanu actually into the backfield as he got the handoff. He's a wide receiver, and he gets a first down.
Well, we talked about the chess game going on right now. Andy Dalton saying, is my number count right? Do I think I can get this run slipped in here even though I've got a wide receiver in the backfield? He liked the matchups, stayed with the guard trap, pulling all the way to the outside, kicking out on the outside on Michael Bailey.
Ball to Giant 48. And Green Ellis is back in the game this time and stuffed to the line of scrimmage by OCU Minora. And let's go check in once more with Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
And we check in with Eli's big brother Peyton, who's having another good start. Denver at Carolina. Manning hooking up with Brandon Stokely for the 10-yard score. Time the game at 7. So far for Peyton, 6 completions, 6 different receivers. Tom and Brian.
Taking a look meanwhile at Dominic Hickson. He was shaken up on the big hit, a personal foul penalty. Ironically enough, it was his ankle that was injured, not a shot to the head or the shot to the shoulder. Catch made on first down, and what a move by Green. And he stepped out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Boy, is this some kind of wide receiver. A.J. Green, in his second year, he's already among the best in all the NFL.
Tom, explosive plays don't have to be necessarily down the field. This is as simple a little quick out or flat route as you're going to get. But with an athlete like A.J. Green, can make Corey Webster miss and all of a sudden get a bigger play out of maybe one of the simplest throws Andy Dalton will make all day long.
4 catches, 80 yards for Green. And we're not even finished with the opening quarter yet. Pump fake one way. And then lay it off to Green Ellis out of the backfield. Good coverage by Michael Boley. It'll bring up second down, and we check in along the sideline with Laura Oakman.
Tom, I want to finish that update on Dominic Hickson. He just walked into the locker room for x-rays on that left ankle. They taped him up pretty good during that last series. About 2 rolls of tape on that ankle, hoping he could get back out on the field and test it. He wasn't able to go, so they brought him back in for some more tests and x-rays.
It's too bad. We mentioned earlier that Tyler Sash went out very early in the game. But for Dominic Hickson, playing in front of a lot of friends and family, having grown up just north in Columbus, Ohio. Played collegiately at Akron. Zero pressure on Dunk. And that's Andrew Hawkins on the crossing pattern. Down to the 32-yard line, a third down upcoming.
Nice job picking up the pressure and the stunt on the inside. You know, we talked about Tom Coughlin calling out his defense as being soft. I don't know as much as being soft as with the injuries they had in the linebacker position last week, that they're not meshing with the linebackers and the defensive line. They're leaving some holes. Underneath throw like this is as good as a run. This is what the Cincinnati Bengals want to do in terms of finally getting that extra man to come down to account for that. That's where they get the one-on-one shot on the outside.
Very impressive opening quarter for the Bengals, leading 14-3. Fox NFL Sunday will continue in a moment. Defensive coordinator Perry Fuel looking for a stop against Jay Gruden's Cincinnati offense on 3rd down and 2. Bengals with the ball at the New York 30. And into the hands of Hawkins with a man to beat and cannot do it. Nice play made by Hosley. So out comes Mike Nugent and the Cincinnati field goal unit.
Yeah, they're just trying to, we see this so often, just a little quick screen. You see it in the college game all the time. You're really counting on, in this instance, Hawkins to make that first man miss. Wasn't able to do it. Save the 3rd down, and here it looks like they are going for it on 4th down. Why not? You're 3-5. You're playing the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Bengals 7-9 on 4th down this year, and Dalton looking around, throws, and it is incomplete. Nearly intercepted by Stevie Brown, who already has 5 picks this year. So the Bengals take points perhaps off the board. Still lead 14-3.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. From kickoff to the last yard, Chevy runs deep. By Microsoft Surface. And by Citizen Eco Drive. Fueled by light, a watch that never needs a battery.
5-year-old Bengal Tigers, they're brothers. Second oldest zoo in America. In fact, Newsweek magazine just this week named it the sexiest zoo in America for its breeding program. Those are beautiful animals, those Bengal Tigers. And these Bengals on the field, losers of 4 in a row. Out to a 14-3 lead over the defending Super Bowl champions. As the second quarter is underway, and the #1 pick, David Wilson, carries off to the left side and picks up a yard. Well, Tuesday, don't miss a night of all-new comedy right here on Fox. Raising Hope, Ben and Kate New Girl and the Mindy Project. A Night So Funny TV guide suggests you simply
surrender and enjoy.
Very nice.
Did I do that okay?
Very, very nice. Laugh your Fox off, starting 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Tuesday night on Fox. Wow.
Hey, 50 pounds of mine, 50 pounds of
When
mine.
you're jumping in on those promos, it's got to be good stuff.
You got it.
518.
Manning to throw it on a 2nd and 9. Nix dropped at the 36-yard line. So here we go on another 3rd down. You talked about it before we ever kicked off. The last couple of weeks, 3rd down, it's been a struggle for this Giants offense, and they're 0 for 3 so far today.
On both sides of the ball, they've been giving up close to 50% on the defensive side, and right now, after going 2-10 last week against Pittsburgh, they're 0-3 in this game right now.
Doug Zimmer in his 5th year as defensive coordinator under Marvin Lewis. Giants need to get it to the 41. Spins out of trouble, but caught from behind. Carlos Dunlap there to get him. It will not be a sack, but it will be a 4 straight failed 3rd down conversion attempt for the Giants.
They've been doing this the whole game. They gobble up protection by bringing the backers up into the gap, then drop out, creating the one-on-one matchups on the outside that allow the Cincinnati Bengals to get home in the pass rush.
Adam Jones, who had a big punt return in the opening quarter, leading to a touchdown. will come up and get this short punt by Weatherford from the 21. And now Jones will just sit down at the 29. Andy Dalton, the Bengals, trying to add to this 14-3 lead.
Eli Manning and Kevin Gilbride, his offensive coordinator, they're trying to figure out what they're seeing. Marvin Lewis felt like they had a real good bead on what New York liked to do by the formation of personnel. So far, they're right.
14-3 Bengals, and the first carry of the day for Cedric Pearman. There are many here in Cincinnati that feel like this third year back out of Virginia should be getting more and more playing time.
Both these offenses are straight ahead, downhill running teams. And this is going to challenge the interior of the New York Giant defense. Like we said, I don't know that they were as much soft last week against a very physical running attack of Pittsburgh, but they didn't handle their gaps real well. They didn't get the right people in the right place at the right time.
Pearman's once more, and he spins out of a tackle and picks up the first down up to the 41-yard line.
This front seven of the Giants obviously is a very physical front seven. They can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They've got the size inside to obviously dictate the tempo. They believe they can stop the Cincinnati Bengal running game with just their seven-man front. They don't have to add that safety into the mix.
Dalton empties out the backfield on 1st and 10 from his own 41-yard line, and out of the shotgun. It's batted down at the line of scrimmage. Dalton bounced back from a season-low 105 passing yards against the Steelers with 299 in the loss to Denver last week. Looked like Marcus Kuhn got a hand on it.
You're asking a lot of Andy Dalton to carry this team strictly on his back here if they don't get a running game. But if they can get the running game cranked up, the matchup they can create primarily with A.J. Green can be lethal for them.
With a delay, they hand it to Pearman, and he's up to the 43-yard line, so it brings up a 3rd and 8. Kiwanuka on the stop. These Giants open the year with a loss at home against Dallas. They got a couple of wild wins, including one against Tampa Bay in a 41-34 decision. Got beat by Philly on a last-second field goal try. Had a sluggish win against Cleveland. But then their most impressive game was the rout in San Francisco. Came back to get a late victory against Washington. Took advantage of 6 Dallas turnovers in a win there before losing to the Steelers. And what a catch by Sanu in traffic. Good coverage by Amukamara. But Sanu, a 3rd-round pick out of Rutgers, making a nice catch.
And this is the type of throw by Andy Dalton that some people question. Is he a big league quarterback? Can he make this type of timed frozen rope throw to the outside? He certainly looked pretty good there.
Sanu, a native of South Brunswick, New Jersey, had a spectacular senior year at Rutgers. He broke Larry Fitzgerald's Big East record with 115 catches. Nice play by Amukamara, chopping down Brian Leonard. And a very good start for Dalton in this Cincinnati offense. Take a look at some of the numbers. Already 11 of 15, 2 touchdowns. He's hit 6 different receivers, including A.J. Green for a 56-yard score.
Again, the chess match continues between Andy Dalton and defensive coordinator Perry Fewell, trying to size up what they want to do, run or pass against whatever it is the Giants are giving them.
Green ran right through a tackle and is very close to a first down. Man, this guy's something. He may not play in the biggest market in the league. In fact, he's playing in the smallest market in the league. But he is something.
This is good coverage. There again, the size of A.J. Green. All 6'4" of him. He can just envelop the ball even though you've got good tight coverage on him.
Hey, let's go, Willie!
3rd and a yard. The Bengals in these situations 13 of 20.
Showing a whole bunch of folks maybe taking a shot down the field. Nope. Probably should have.
Leonard wrapped up in a backfield. Big stop by Michael Boley. They went 4th down a moment ago. Do they go 4th down again here?
You know, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. If you wanted to do it before, why not now? And they are. They're going with it. And they're doing it in no huddle. That's impressive that they would make a critical call like this in the no huddle offense.
Stopped on 4th down a moment ago, but 7 of 10 on 4th down for the year. This one is a 4th and less than 2.
Yeah, he got caught here, this chess match. They came up and showed everybody on the line. He changed the play, then went back. The chess match continues. Smart in calling a timeout.
Game is sponsored by Cadillac, the standard of the world.
Marvin Lewis will still go for it on 4th down. 9th play of this drive at the Giants' 36-yard line. Bolton looking around and throws across the middle of the field once more to the rookie Sanu, and that is a 1st down to the 22.
This is all Andy Dalton here. 1st and 2nd read not there. Now it's make something happen. This is an interesting young receiving corps. Obviously with Green, Sanu, Hawkins.
Leonard on 1st down, leaps into the air, stuffed at the line of scrimmage by Chase Blackburn.
You can see Andy Dalton from the get-go was looking for the tight end Gresham on the inside, looking for the quick throw. They're all over it on the outside, so now he's got to make something happen. Nice job by Andy Dalton keeping a critical 4th and 2 alive to give them another shot now here in the end zone.
Well, they give Leonard a 2-yard gain, so 2nd down and 8. Closing in on 6.5 minutes to play until halftime. Fake it to Pearman. Throw it to Pearman, left alone. And he puts his nose forward and is dropped at the 11. That'll be another 1st down for the Bengals, and we check in LA for the first time with Patrick O'Neill.
Todd, thanks very much. Going back and forth at the Superdome. Atlanta, New Orleans, Matt Ryan, Tony Gonzalez. That's a milestone. Career touchdown reception number 100. Falcons, the only unbeaten team left in the league, leading the Saints 17-14. Tom and Coach Billick, back to you.
It's a big one for those Falcons. Of course, they will see these Giants 3 weeks from now. Giants will have a bye week next week. Pearman stuffed at the 8-yard line.
Well, the question here is, we've seen them go for it on 4th down a little further out, and I don't know that they're necessarily outside the range of their kicker Nugent. So are they in 4-down territory here? Do you let Jay Gruden, the offensive coordinator, know that? Because you're going to maintain and continue on if it is a 4th and short. You need to know that in your play calling, whether I'm going to get that 4th down call or I'm truly in a 3-down territory here.
13th play of this drive for the Bengals. Great play made in the open field by Amukamara. He's had a good game so far today.
Yeah, they're switching up between Webster and Amukamara on A.J. Green. Just that quick little flat route. We saw a big play come off that early in the 1st quarter, but here, nice open field tackle by Amukamara, bringing down the talented and explosive A.J. Green.
Amukamara, number 1 pick out of Nebraska, injury-plagued rookie year, broke his foot the first day of training camp. Had very little playing time after he came back.
94 is down.
And they're expecting big things out of that number 1 pick, and he's playing a pretty good game so far today. 3rd down. Dalton rolling right, throws to the end zone, and that is an incompletion. It looked like Andrew Hawkins tried to keep the toes inbound and could not do it.
You got to do a lot. I got to catch the ball. I got to get both feet. His left foot already out of bounds. So focused on that right foot, trying to drag it in the end zone. Wasn't aware that his left foot was already out of bounds.
So it will be a field goal attempt for Mike Nugent. He grew up just north of Cincinnati in Centerville, the former 2nd-round pick of the New York Jets. He's come back from a very serious injury. To rank among the better kickers in the NFL once more. This one from 28 yards out and right down the middle. So with 4:18 to play in the opening half, the Bengals in front 17-3. Not sure the Bengals could have drawn it up any better than this 17-3 lead. And Brian, are you stunned by this, knowing the Giants were a pretty angry team coming off the loss last week to the Steelers?
Yeah, I am, because their coach called them out. And not that they've been soft or mushy, to use his terms here, but they don't have the focus. We've seen dropped balls. We've seen, again, third down has been just terrible for this team right now. They just don't have, I'm not going to say they don't have the physicality, but they don't have the focus that you've got to bring every snap in the National Football League, and right now it's showing.
Well, Wilson's going to bring it out deep from his own end zone, and he is stuffed at the 17-yard line. Well, the day started pretty well for Dalton. Take a look at this. Little game they play, see if you can hit the crossbar. Bam, celebration. Going into the locker room, and then shortly after coming back out, celebration in a better way. 56 yards to Green. A touchdown strike to Hawkins. 15 of 20, 161 yards. He has hit 7 different receivers so far. Bengals just going 15 plays, chewing up nearly 8 minutes on that last drive. Capped off by the Nugent field goal, and now Eli and the Giants. 3 timeouts, 4:12 to play until halftime. And too tall for Bear Pasco, the backup tight end. We have not called the name Victor Cruz the entire half, nor have we called the name Martellus Bennett the entire half.
And that's the 2 go-to guys for him. Now, last year they had a nice run with Victor Cruz, Nakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham, Jake Ballard. They got used to one another. This is kind of a new group. So far, the last couple of weeks, based on what I've seen, you don't see that same familiarity that you have to have between your quarterback and receiver.
Of course, Nicks has been hurt. Had the foot surgery during the offseason. Been bothered by a sore knee. And that's him on the catch. The tackle made short of a first down, but Nicks had the 10 reception for 199-yard game week 2 against Tampa Bay, got hurt, missed 3 games, and in the other 4 since coming back from the injury for Hakeem Nicks, he has not had more than 53 receiving yards in a game. Third and 1. Giants normally run it third in the yard. Got Andre Brown in the backfield next to Manning out of his shotgun. They're going to throw it third in the yard. Looking around. Still looking. And Nicks for the first down to the 37.
This is an excellent job of protection, because Eli Manning had to wait this out, particularly on the edge. David Deal's been kind of victimized by Geno Atkins, but he did a nice job pushing him back inside, holding out just long enough, because Eli Manning had to wait this out. The ball normally would come out quicker. Nice job working back to the ball for the first down.
From the 37 on the first down, Manning fires to the far side, first catch of the game. And there are some Victor Cruz fans here at Paul Brown Stadium today. His 58th catch of the year, his first of the game.
He's their big play go-to guy. This is the first time they've really targeted him. You know, I said earlier, New York wants to be a straight downhill running team with play action fake and big vertical. But as of late, they haven't been able to do that. So when they've had to get into this mode, Eli, you take it on your back. That's what they've done.
Good protection again. And it is a first down catch by Nicks, which will take us to the 2-minute warning. Giants on the move. .59 to play until halftime. Peyton Manning has the ball at the Bengals 45-yard line, hitting on 4 of 5 so far on this drive. and make it 5 out of 6 for Eli Manning, of course. Ruben Randle getting playing time after the early injury to Dominic Hickson. Took a big lick right there from Burfict. So Eli now 5 of 6 on the drive. 2nd down and 5.
Green dancer! Green dancer! Green dancer!
Randall again, he just didn't fool anybody. Especially Leon Hall.
Again, great open field tackling. We saw this save down in the red zone. The Cincinnati Bengals enforcing the New York Giants to kick a field goal. In here, the same situation. Nice open field tackling by the secondary of the Cincinnati Bengals. Real athleticism being displayed.
All right, a 3rd and 6. Giants spending their first timeout. These are halftime coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, Jimmy, and the gang. As Eli's brother Peyton is playing in Carolina today after winning here last week. It's interesting, the Bengals would play Peyton last week, Eli this week, and they did talk about it during the week.
Yeah, and why not? You know, it's been a while. 2008 was the last time Eli played these Cincinnati Bengals. I'm sure he appreciated the insight from his brother.
Giants converted their first 3rd down on this drive and face another here. 1 of 5 in the game. Incomplete. That had no chance from the get-go. Into double coverage. So the Giants will punt. And now the Bengals. Or are they going to go for it? They are going to go for it. You saw looking to the sideline was Manning. This is a major gamble by the Giants on a 4th down close to midfield.
Yeah, and a curious call, not giving yourself more of a convertible 4th down to throw that vertical down the field. I'm not sure if Kevin Gilbride knew that's what Tom Coughlin's intentions were, because now he's got a much tougher 4th and 6 call to make.
What a catch and what a throw. And again, it's Nix who's become a big factor on this drive. Timeout called by the Giants.
Yeah, this thing had some heat on it. He knew this thing had to be lasered in there because he had to use his size. Great coverage. Obviously on the outside by Terrence Newman. He was going to have to use his size, Nix was, and it had to be a pass right on.
Been a while since we've seen this kind of emotion from Akeem Nix, playing through the foot injury, the knee injury. We told you ever since he got hurt, he's not had more than 53 receiving yards in a game. He had 1 catch against the Steelers for 10 yards last week.
Cruz up here in the slot, Nix up at the top.
First catch of the game for Martellus Bennett. And the former Dallas Cowboy is inside the 15 to the 13. Another first down, under a minute to go. Manning sacked by Carlos Dunlap.
Yeah, you can see why Eli Manning had to hold on to the ball. They're all over it. Victor Cruz being bracketed on the inside, and then Dunlap on the outside. The ball comes out, and fortunately it falls right back into him. That clearly was the proverbial coverage sack because Eli Manning had to hold on to that ball way too long.
Tell you, that is a dangerous duo the Bengals have if they can keep Carlos Dunlap healthy. His rookie year, he had 9.5 sacks. Was hurt a lot last year. We talked about in the interior, Atkins the last 2 years has more sacks than any interior defensive lineman in the NFL.
Well, if you obviously have Geno Atkins on the outside, Pecco inside gives you a nice inside pass presence. You get Dunlap on the other side, now you've got that typical problem where you've got it on either side. That's tough for an offense to deal with.
4-play to drive. Giants out of timeouts from the Bengal 20. Great protection this time. And the catch is made, but the clock will run and the Giants can't stop it. It's Andre Brown.
He's got plenty of time for an orchestrated call here.
It's a 3rd and 9.
They can run the field goal team on if this thing's thrown underneath. So he's got the full field to go to.
Wow. They go for the touchdown. Oh my gosh. He was beyond the back of the end zone was Martellus Bennett, and no argument by Bennett.
This is a heck of a throw, though. Late. Again, comes down the first foot out of bounds. He's so focused on getting the second foot in, but it's the first foot that betrayed him. Coughlin none too pleased after taking that chance further down the field. He's sending on the field goal team right now, knowing I've got to finish out the half, reward this solid drive with some points.
Second field goal try of the game by Lawrence Tynes. Already a career high, 27 made. This from 31 yards out. It's his 28th of the year. Well, that's by far their best drive of this game. But they only get 3 and trail 17-6, and we've got the Visa halftime coming up. How about it, Kurt?
Coming up on the Visa halftime, we'll have highlights from a busy Week 10, including Peyton Manning taking on Cam Newton, Jake Locker returning to the Titans as they meet Miami, and Tom Brady and the Patriots hosting the Bills. So we'll power up, get TB, and have everything for you at the Visa halftime.
Speaking of New England, Patriots just scored again. Less than 2 minutes to go. They're at home against Buffalo in a 24-10 lead. But the story today has been Andy Dalton and the Cincinnati Bengals. Losers of 4 in a row after beginning the year at 3-1. Obviously an underdog against the defending Super Bowl champion Giants, who, by the way, have a 2.5 game lead in the NFC East. But much was made about the November swoon the Giants have undergone the last number of years under Tom Coughlin. They lost the lead against the Steelers last week. He referred to them as soft, and this has not been a good 30 minutes following that loss to the Steelers.
But this is a team now, I'm talking about the Giants, that they've been in this situation before. Tampa Bay, Cleveland, they got down, obviously, and were able to fight back. And as well against the Pittsburgh Steelers, although they jumped up on that game, but the Dallas Cowboys. So they've been here before, but it doesn't feel that way right now. I'm not seeing a sharpness other than that last drive of the New York Giants.
Bouncing ball off the shin of Brandon Tate. And they're just going to cover it up. Cedric Pierman not taking any chances in the final 9 seconds of this first half.
Well, both teams are going to the locker room feeling pretty good. Obviously, Cincinnati being on top the way they have, taking advantage of it. And even New York, they haven't been as sharp, but they finished out that last drive. And now sitting here at 17-6, they're within striking distance. As I said, they've been in this situation a couple times during the course of the season. You don't want to be here, but you're not going to panic either.
Of course, the Giants won the toss, chose to defer, so they will get the ball to begin the second half. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, when they've led at halftime so far this season, they've been very good, a 3-1 record. Fox NFL Sunday will continue with a Visa halftime report after these messages. 17-6 Cincinnati. Set to begin the third quarter, 17-6 Bengals. Of course, these Bengals facing the Manning brothers in back-to-back weeks. They were beaten by Peyton and the Broncos last week.
And it's the chess match we talk about here. You can see Peyton Manning much more demonstrative about the way he checks to the offense that he runs in Denver. And then now Eli a little bit more subtle, but it's the same thing. Count the box, look at the defense. Do I want to run? Do I want to pass? Cincinnati Bengals being able to draw a little bit from having played these brothers back-to-back.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. Giants get the ball to begin the second half. And David Wilson, 5 yards into his own end zone, will bring it out. Still on his feet and steps out of bounds at the 25-yard line. We check in downstairs with Laura Oakman.
Thank you, Tom. Marvin Lewis, short and succinct. All he said was the key to sustaining this lead, third down, offensive and defensive. We've got to win those battles. Tom Coughlin not as succinct, saying, I've been saying it all week. Now we have to do it. We have to stop them. We've had opportunities offensively, defensively. We haven't. Rhythm is a big thing. He said offensively it's going to be a little harder. Dominique Hickson, x-rays on his ankle negative, but his return is down.
Well, Giants on third down, 1 out of 7. The Bengals on third down, 3 out of 6. So that certainly backs up what Tom Coughlin was talking about, along with Marvin Lewis. On first down, it's Andre Brown. We talked about Ahmad Bradshaw and all of his injuries over the last 3 weeks, having problems with his feet again. And he has been a non-factor, 16 rushing yards for the Giants.
Certainly look at here, the third down is the key to me, because we said coming in that on both sides of the ball, New York has been struggling offensively and defensively. Normally pretty good, giving up close to 50% on third down. That's exactly what they're doing against the Cincinnati Bengals. So far, the third down woes of the New York Giants have continued.
No gain on the first down run by Brown. Bradshaw checks in and sacked as Manning back at the 18-yard line. There are times this is as dominant a pass rushing team as there is in the AFC.
And you're going to look out here all day long. Deal has struggled a little bit, opening up to the outside here on Robert Gathers. And now coming off those edges, they need to keep the tight end in, turn the line one way or the other, because this Bengal group can put more pressure on them.
Gathers had help from Pecco. So third down and a ton, 3rd and 16 for the Giants. Screen to Bradshaw, blockers in front, but he will not get to the 36. That would be enough for a first down, and it's 3 and out on the Giants' first possession, trying to get momentum in their favor here in the third quarter.
And what the New York Giants will tell you, their dilemmas on third down in no small part is because they're having to convert a lot of third and longs, just like they did there. They've got to get it down into that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 category where you have a much better chance of converting.
Rutherford punch from his own 20, and he hammers this one. This will go all the way into the end zone. Bradshaw and the Giants looking for answers, trailing 17-6.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. And by Samsung Galaxy Note 2. The next big thing is here.
Findlay Market in downtown Cincinnati, founded in 1852, the oldest continuously operated public market in the Buckeye State. Bengals get the ball, first possession of the second half, and Green Ellis. He can run on first down, but a penalty flag, and this might come back.
Holding, offense number 84, half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. First down.
This is so tough on a tight end on an outside play like this, particularly when you're going against a guy like Tuck. You can see here on the edge as the ball begins right there, just the grab as he gets to the outside. You'd like to get outside of him to get that angle, but Tuck knows that.
They're spending a lot of money on this defensive line. They got off to a terrible start this year. Piled up the sacks over a 3-week stretch. But we have not called Tuck. We have not called Pierre-Paul. We have not called Canty. This entire game so far, not a single sack on Andy Dalton, who coming into the game had been sacked 22 times.
And it's not like the Bengals have run up and down the field running the ball. Like we said, that's the dilemma. If you can't run the ball, that turns the pass rush loose on you a little bit. So it's not like they've been neutralized by the running game of the Cincinnati Bengals. The offensive line has just done a nice job keeping this all-star front four from getting home to Andy Dalton.
Second down and 20. Good protection again, and Dalton nearly threw his first interception of the afternoon.
And that was just a miscommunication between Dalton and Sanu, with the DB running off like that. He thought Sanu was going to go vertical, and Sanu jumped off. The initial read would have said to go ahead and go vertical and take the shot, but at the last minute, Amukamara dropped off that made Sanu pull it up. They're lucky that didn't turn into a turnover.
And by the way, Andy Dalton has thrown an interception in every game so far this year. He has avoided that thus far. A nearly entire half to play on third down and a ton. That is handed off to Leonard. And now the Bengals will punt it out of their own end zone.
Very athletic move by Jason Pierre-Paul. Starts on the upfield rush, and watch how he reacts now underneath once he sees the run. Uses those long arms and closes down on the delay.
That is an 81-inch wingspan for Jason Pierre-Paul. Just his third year out of South Florida. Kevin Huber, a native Cincinnatian, on to punt. And the left-footed punter booms this one all the way back to the 32. It's Ruben Randall, but some room to run. And a good return by Randall. He's up to the 47. The Giants, trailing 17-6, get the football back.
Well, we can see here part of the Giants' problem. They had a couple scoring drives, 1 and 8 on third down, but they're not generating first downs on first and second down. Tom Coughlin says that's part of the problem as well.
Good field position here, beginning this drive from their own 47. Manning steps up, and again it's Akeem Nicks, who's been by far his favorite target thus far today.
Well, this is just an excellent inside route. Eli Manning recognizing if we're going to get back in this game, it's going to be left to me. Throwing into the hole, not necessarily where Nicks is, but where he's going to be, letting him use his size to cross the middle of the field and throw it in behind the linebackers.
Best game for Nicks since he injured his knee back in week 2 against Tampa Bay. 8 catches, 76 yards, and this is Bradshaw with his best carry of the afternoon, a gain of 9. On Fox Sports, your home for the UFC, beginning Friday with the UFC 154 weigh-in live on Fuel TV. A new episode of The Ultimate Fighter on FX, and then on Saturday, December 8th, the UFC returns to broadcast television. UFC on Fox 5. Fox Sports, a place to turn for hard-hitting UFC action all year long.
180, my hut.
Ahmad Bradshaw with back-to-back carries, and they produce a first down east of the Cincinnati 26.
We talked about New York's wanting to get into 3 wides and run the ball out of that, and we saw examples of it here. Eli Manning continuing to check on the line, getting into 3 wides as they are here, and now counting the box. They're looking at right here. You can see there's too many folks right here. He wants to throw the ball unless, as he checks, they come out of it and bluff him out of it. This look right here would say pass all the way.
And they pitch it to Bradshaw. Good running room again for Ahmad Bradshaw. And he carries tackles, but he fumbles the football. Inside the 15, and the Giants turn it over. Good drive, looking for extra yardage, stripped out of there, Cincinnati football.
Sponsored by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
Ahmad Bradshaw inside the 15-yard line, had the football stripped by Adam Jones, and the Bengals cover it up. Still a 17-6 Cincinnati lead. Green Ellis crosses at 20. That's a nice gain of 6 on first down.
Actually, nice check by Eli Manning. I said it had pass written all over it. You had all these folks over in here, so he just tosses to the outside. It's a nice run call against a stacked box, but now you got to hold on to the ball, young man, as you get to the outside. Excellent job by Adam Jones. Again, keep in mind now, Cincinnati Getting turnovers have been few and far between for Cincinnati. That's a big pickup for them.
Bolton to throw it, and a first down reception made by Sanu, who did not catch a pass the entire year until the last 2 weeks. And now putting together his best game as a pro. That's his 4th reception of the game.
Interesting that Cincinnati has come out of the no-huddle look for a little more orchestrated call now, being up 17-6.
Green Ellis leapfrogs one defender and then runs right into Chase Blackburn. Tom Coughlin said Blackburn is the most difficult defender to take out of the game. He knows the defense better than I know it.
And this is what they missed last week. Nice job by Amukamara, forcing everything back inside and obviously taking the lead blocker out. But this was the fit that I talked about earlier that they didn't have last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chase Blackburn being where he's supposed to be within the body of that front seven.
Second down and 10, short drop, and again batted down at the line of scrimmage, but then caught by Green Ellis. Boy, maybe that's when you wonder if things aren't meant to be for your team, when things like that begin to occur.
Well, like I said, this is the way you draw it up. The hard part is getting it to back, just where you want it. Hit him right in the chest. And it did Chris Canty to come right back to Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. Just the way you practice it.
So 3rd down and 4 now for the Bengals on their own 37-yard line. Looking down the sideline, and great coverage by Amukamara and Brandon Tate. Jermaine Gresham appeared to be open on the other side of the field. But the Bengals will punt it right back to the Giants.
That's a good win for the Giants. Like we said, the 3rd down woes existing on both sides of the ball. New York Giants really one of the top 10 teams in the league in terms of 3rd down defense. The last couple of weeks have really struggled. That's a big turnaround for them.
Ruben Randall stands at his own 10. And Huber puts a left foot on it. Fair catch at the 18. Long way to go. Halfway through this 3rd quarter. Giants down 17-6. Giants with the ball. 7:22 to play in the 3rd quarter. Bengals have lost 4 in a row. The Giants had won 5 in a row before falling to the Steelers, blowing a 10-point lead at the end of the 3rd quarter last week. Ahmad Bradshaw with a knee on the Giants sideline after fumbling inside the 15 moments ago. Giants have now gone 10+ quarters without a touchdown pass. Bengals got that on their very first possession of the game, 56 yards to Green. Got a big punt return from Jones, which led to another touchdown throw. This one to Hawkins. And then the Giants trying to get it close in the red zone, fumble away. For Bradshaw, 3rd time he's lost a fumble this year. Well, they're doing a little equipment work, it looks like, on the back judge, Kirk Doman. And while we have a moment, let's check in with Patrick O'Neill back in Los Angeles.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. The only undefeated team left in the league is on the ropes. The Falcons now trailing the Saints 28-17. Drew Brees, his 3rd touchdown pass of the game. That one going to Marcus Colston for 7 yards. Again, 28-17 Saints. Tom, Coach Billick, back to you.
Ryan, you thought that would be a very, very tough game for Atlanta today.
How many of these games have we had, Tom? This is one of the more physical series in the National Football League between Atlanta and New Orleans.
Out of the shotgun, Manning. And it's tipped into the air. And intercepted. Pat Sims playing in his first game since coming off the PUP list. It looked like Atkins tipped the ball. He had a hold of Manning. And the interception into the arms of Sims.
Wow, boy, when it snows, it comes in buckets. This is about to be a big play for New York, going outside the protection, where so often big plays will happen, but the ball gets tipped straight up in the air. Who could come down with the rebound? What a play by Pat Sims to put Cincinnati yet again on a short field.
So you had Atkins, who had a hold of Manning. It was actually Michael Johnson coming from the other side that tipped it into the waiting arms of Sims. Now the Bengals a chance to make it really tough on these Giants. We talked about it, Brian. It has been now 10-plus quarters since Eli Manning has thrown a touchdown pass. The last one he had was the 77-yard game winner with less than a minute to beat the Washington Redskins 3 weeks ago. Umanura giving chase on Dalton, who gets it away. So now third down upcoming for the Bengals after the turnover.
And Andy Dalton wants to be very careful here, because now you're ostensibly in field goal range, which now down 17-6. If you make sure you maintain the field goal, obviously you want the touchdown, but now you've got that into a 2 full score ratio that you're always looking for as a coach, particularly the way the New York Giants have been playing right now and the way your defense has been playing.
A.J. Green up to the top of the screen. And Dalton looking to the end zone for Gresham and finds him for the touchdown. The interception by Manning leads to the third scoring strike by Dalton. Green, Hawkins, now Gresham.
Just put the 6'6" Gresham right down the middle of the field, make him pull it off the crossbar, go up for a rebound. So many of the big, good tight ends in this league right now. Graham, Gresham, you got to throw in that mix, have that kind of size, that athleticism, that ability of basketball on grass. This is just throwing up a rebound, take it off the rim.
It was 2 weeks ago, Marvin Lewis called out his team, especially Andy Dalton on the offensive side and Ray Maluga on the defensive side. Said he needed to see a little more fire out of that duo.
Yeah, it's one thing to lead by example. You love that. But sometimes you got to pull someone with you, particularly out of the quarterback position. Ray Maluga, the middle linebacker, both have that kind of personality. He just said it needs to come out more. Drag a few of these guys along with you.
Wilson from a 2-yard line on a kick by Nugent. Escapes one tackle, but is bottled up inside the 20. Well, this has been a flat Giants team right from the start. College Saturday here on Fox. A Pac-12 showdown. Crosstown rivals UCLA, USC. And then 12th ranked Oklahoma squares off against West Virginia. Coverage of Fox College football begins Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. Well, it's been a rough year for Lane Kiffin. Preseason #1, and it's been one disappointment after another.
Who'd have thought UCLA would be the higher-ranked team going into that game?
You're right. Bradshaw, the first down carry for maybe a yard, depending on where they spot it. Stayed on his feet up to the 23.
Well, a little over 6 minutes in the third quarter. New York's in that point in the game where the mentality has to be, okay, I'm going to give ourselves one more chance for a well-orchestrated drive to see if I can get something going here before I start getting into a no huddle and start, fold that game plan, put it in my back pocket, and just start whipping the thing around.
Peppo knocked it down. And another third down for the Giants. Well, we talked about Eli. But his struggles the last couple of weeks, 125 passing yards against the Steelers. One of the worst games of his career. He only hit on 10 out of 24. In the last 2 games for the Giants, Steelers and now the Bengals, they are 3 for 18 on 3rd down. Steps up, throws, intercepted again this time by Clements. And he's to the 16.
That's twice now that Eli Manning's been caught throwing the ball up in the grasp. And it's learned, and it's led to 2 turnovers. Right here, what are they doing? We've seen it the whole game. Linebackers will mug up, create the one-on-one matchups. Now you see he gets it held up by Linville, or excuse me, on the other side it's Geno Atkins, who's been their #1 rush specialist. Eli trying to make something happen, sustain the drive. Ill-advisedly throws the ball up while being held, leads to a 2nd straight turnover.
Green Ellis on 1st down. You know, you mentioned the name Geno Atkins, and this is probably the best player in the NFL that most people have never heard of. He was a 4th-round draft pick coming out of Georgia. A lot of people felt he was too small. I've never understood that for the life of me for an interior defensive tackle. Goes 6'1", 300. He led all NFL interior linemen last year with 7.5 sacks. He has 8 already this year, and he's on his way to his 2nd straight Pro Bowl. There are many that'll tell you he might be the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL when you combine the whole package. There are guys like Nada in the 3-4 that stuff the run so well, but in terms of the run game and then getting after the passer, Atkins is right there with anybody in the game.
Well, the much heralded front 4 of the New York Giants, everybody knows those names: Tuck, Umanura, Jason Pierre-Paul. They don't know Geno Atkins. They don't know the young Dunlap we've seen make a play. Pecco in the inside. These guys are made up of a bunch of no-names that still put equal type of pressure on a quarterback.
Well, the play clock running down to 3, and the Bengals are going to call a timeout before this 3rd and 4. Seems like that's the kind of thing this year, Brian, if you watch the Bengals a lot, that kind of thing happens a lot to them. You know, you get down to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, you're down in the red zone. We saw it earlier in the game already. And you're not getting everybody up to the line of scrimmage, or maybe a play isn't coming in and you're having to waste a timeout.
And I don't want to dismiss it to youth, because again, this is Andy Dalton's 2nd year. They've got a new back in Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, but we're better than halfway through the season. So you're right, those types of things shouldn't happen, whether it's the decision making on the sideline with Jay Gruden and his staff, how it's being communicated into Andy Dalton. They do have a lot of checks in the game plan today. So sometimes you get that play in, it's a personnel group and you've changed, you get up to the line, all of a sudden you're a little short in time to make the checks intelligently, so you call timeout.
3rd and 4.
Hey, let's go 70! 70! Ball down, still.
Play clock down to 4. It's a touchdown, the first career touchdown for the South Brunswick, New Jersey native Mohamed Sanu. These Giants are just getting worn out. And who knows, not having had a bye week the entire year, maybe they're a little bit worn out.
Oh, I don't know that they're usually pretty good on the road. This was just an excellent pass by Andy Dalton into Sanu. Actually pretty good coverage by Prince Amukamara. Dalton putting it right on the mark, and Sanu again, 6'1", big enough size to kind of envelop the ball.
Bengals very much like the future of Sanu. Told you he had 115 catches last year at Rutgers to break Larry Fitzgerald's Big East record.
He's got inside position. Now they transition. Mukamara comes from the outside. They traded it off late. That's a little tough. You can see a Mukamara at the top. He's actually in pretty good position. Thought he could come around. Maybe even thought maybe he could get a pick. But Andy Dalton put in just enough back shoulder for Sanu to come up with the touchdown catch.
Well, he planted that thing and just sort of pinned it against his body. That was not a clean reception by Sanu.
Well, I talked about, we need one good drive by the New York Giants, and Eli Manning will give it one more go, but now you didn't get it. You give up a score. Kevin Gilbride's at the point where he's got to fold that play calling sheet up, put it in his back pocket, and let's get after it. Because we're now closing in on 4 minutes in the third quarter. You're down 31-6. You've shown no efficiency whatsoever in your offensive attack. You got to put this on your elite quarterback, Eli Manning, and see if he can just pitch this thing up and down the field.
So the Bengals, when they started the year at 3-1, I mean, they were scoring points aplenty. And this offense, by and large, has been shut down before this explosion of 31. And there's still 4:20 to play in the third quarter today. 4 touchdowns, a career high, by the way, for Dalton. And this is Wilson. And he's up to the 21. Wilson and Randall playing tug-of-war with that football.
Watch this. This has got me concerned now. Who's got the ball? Where's the communication? Both these guys, one of you have to call the other one off. There is no orchestration, no communication with Wilson and the other guy here that, boy, that would have me concerned if I'm Tom Quinn, the special teams coach, or Tom Coughlin, the head coach, because right now I just don't see any sharpness. Offense, defense, special teams.
So now it's going to be shotgun and start slinging it all over the place for Eli Manning. Run behind Bennett.
And up to this point, Tom, we talk a great deal about turnovers and explosive plays and how you have to have both. And the Giants have been very good all year long. But the problem for them right now, and they're normally an explosive team, top 10 each of the last couple of years, there's been nothing explosive about this offense for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
They'll give it to Bradshaw. Bengals thinking pass, pass, pass when you're trailing 31-6, and a good carry by Bradshaw for 9.
Biggest thing I see in this team right now with New York, we just saw it on the kickoff return, Tom. There seems to be that missing element, that steely-eyed focus as to what the job is. As simple as communication. Right now, you just don't see it in the New York Giants. Maybe it's an extension of what you're talking about. They haven't had their bye week. I don't know that Tom Coughlin would buy into that.
No, he wouldn't.
But when he called his team soft last week, not just physically soft, but mentally soft.
They'll pitch it on third down, and that'll be a first down run for Bradshaw up to the 35.
And Cincinnati's going to give New York an option if they want to stay with their 3 wides check run package. They're going to give them plenty of opportunity to make those checks right now, because up 31-6, although they're not going to just let them waltz up and down the field, they're not going to let them configure themselves to where they can beat on that big pass, because as I said, they've been a little vulnerable to the big pass. They don't want to let that happen here. Hence they get into a nice passive 2-deep zone.
What a look delivered by Maualuga, and the ball is loose. The Bengals have it. It's in the hands of Atkins, and haven't heard a whistle. Is it a turnover?
Right here, I guess that's head-to-head. I guess they don't call that a defenseless receiver. Looked like the ball came out after he was down.
Sure did.
We've seen this call as being a helmet-to-helmet, but I guess he got squared up enough. I'm not quite sure I know the difference between that and the earlier call.
Well, this will be challenged here by Tom Coughlin.
And it will be from above because it's a turnover. So that will come automatically given the new rules.
On a change of possession.
At a change of possession, so he doesn't have to burn that flag. Put it back in the pocket, because you actually get a penalty if you do throw it. Has possession, squares up, and right there. once that cheek hit the ground.
How in the world was that not a penalty on Maluga?
Well, I guess he was squared up enough. That's that gray area sometimes that I'm not sure I know.
So they're going to take a look at it on the change of possession, which is automatic this first year in the NFL.
Well, there are three elements to this. This is a helmet-to-helmet. I'm not quite sure why it is not a helmet-to-helmet penalty, but now the old one knee equals 2 feet. Well, one cheek equals 2 feet. He's clearly down as the ball comes out. As they review this now, the helmet-to-helmet contact is not reviewable. So the only thing that's going to come out of this, I believe, is that it's still the Giants' ball.
After review, the runner was down by contact before the ball came loose. It will be 2nd and 8 on the 37. Please put 2:44 on the game clock. 2:44, thank you.
So there you have it. He was down by contact.
That was a heck of a hit. And it's not a fumble statistically, but that's twice now Bradshaw's put the ball on the ground. I don't blame him on that last one. I'm surprised he even knows his own name right now with that hit. But that's twice now Bradshaw's put the ball on the ground.
In fact, Bradshaw is off on the sideline. Andre Brown has checked in. Giants have already lost. Dominic Hicks into an ankle injury in the game. Ramses Barden, who has not caught a pass since the last weekend in September, is in the game. It's back to the line of scrimmage. Excellent play made by the former Cowboy Terrence Newman, and we check in back in Los Angeles.
Well, just when you thought the Lions were back, they ran into the Vikings, who maybe are back. Christian Ponder hooking up with Kyle Rudolph for the touchdown. They had a 2-point conversion, and right now Minnesota with the lead 24-10 in the fourth quarter. Common Bryant?
Cincinnati fans like to see Kyle Rudolph. He grew up about 5 miles from this stadium. Played at Elder High School and on to Notre Dame. Here's Manning on 3rd down, forever to throw it. And there's Barden. Penalty flag is down in the backfield. Adam Jones on a tackle. Not nearly enough for a first down.
I think they're going to get Martellus Bennett down the field. Kind of got mugged.
2 flags, one in the secondary and one in the backfield. I beg your pardon.
There are fouls by both teams on the play. Holding on the offense, number 65, and holding on the defense, number 55. Those fouls offset. We play 3rd down.
Yeah, Vontez Burfict had held on the inside on Martellus Bennett. Offsetting penalties. And again, another 3rd down. And as we've said, a 3rd and long. That's been the nemesis of the New York Giants, to not get into more convertible 3rd downs. Here again, a 3rd and 9.
2 out of 10 the Giants on 3rd down today. Blitz coming. Giants pick it up. And depending on the spot, this will be very close. Cruz on the reception right at the 45.
They bring a zone pressure on the backside. They pick it up very, very well. Nice job by the back. Andre Brown stepping up. Eli Manning have all the time he needs. I'm not sure they got this, and I'm not sure they won't go for it if it ends up being a 4th down.
Another thing the Bengals have done very well today is tackle.
Open field tackles, you're exactly right, showing the athleticism of Marvin Lewis's defense. Let's see how they stretch this thing. Oh, just made it. As I always say, it's hard to make it that close. These officials are really good.
Well, then why did you have so many fines if you felt that way?
Because I disagree.
How many dollars were you fined? Come on.
$75,000.
$75,000.
I owe that much of it to Mike Pereira. We haven't talked to Mike in a while. I'd love to bring him in. I'd like to know when I'm going to get some of that $75,000 back.
Forget about it. On 1st down, Eli steps up, missed an open Bennett. 2nd down and 10.
Again, just the subtleness of not having that focus that you have to perform at this level. Down in, down out, game in, game out, stumbling out of the break. Just not any sharpness to New York. Doesn't mean they can't get it back now. Someone's got to step up and make a big play beyond Eli Manning. Someone's going to have to make that great one-handed catch, that breaking of a tackle, something to get this offense going.
And again, to repeat, the Giants have not had a touchdown pass since a 77-yard strike to Victor Cruz in the final minute of the game to beat the Redskins after Washington had taken the lead on a touchdown throw from Robert Griffin III to Santana Moss. They have since played Dallas, the Steelers, and now the Bengals without a single touchdown pass from Eli Manning.
And they'd like to be, as I said, the team that plays great defense, runs the ball. That's what Tom Coughlin wants to be. It's not what the Giants are. It's not what they were last year when they won the Super Bowl.
They've got to get it off before the end of the quarter. Blitz coming, and again they pick it up well. And that is inbounds by Barden. So that is his first catch since September the 30th. All Marvin Lewis and the Bengals today. End of the 3rd quarter, 31-6. Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. 31-6, Bengals over the Giants, set to begin the 4th quarter. Tom Brenneman, Brian Billick, Laura Oakman back here in Cincinnati. And you know, we were talking about you getting fined $75,000 as an NFL head coach. Mike Pereira, what did you do with all that dough?
Yeah, I'd like to know where that money goes.
Hey, listen, you've got an open invitation to come to the Billick wing of my house. I built a brand new addition and named it after you. Looks wonderful, just wonderful.
Well, at the very least, when we get together, you're going to buy us a bottle of wine, but I get to pick the wine.
Oh, no, I know you better than that. No.
Oh, man. $75,000. Eli throwing on 1st down and through the hands of Cruz. Looked like a touchdown. It should have been for Victor Cruz.
That's just exactly the kind of day the New York Giants have had. You just talked about the last touchdown being a 77-yard touchdown to Cruz against Washington. That had 6 points written all over it. Not going to happen on a day like today.
We're talking about now 86 pass attempts without a touchdown for Manning and the Giants. For Cruz, that is his 8th drop of this year. That's tied for the most in the NFL. He's having an outstanding season, but has been plagued from time to time with drops. Timeout, New York.
Same type of thing. Same type of thing we talked about, the frustration with having to call timeout with Andy Dalton and Cincinnati Bengals. Same way. There's a lot of checking going on right now with Tom Coughlin's offense, and Eli Manning having not enough time to get to the check he wanted to. They're going to have to take a few more shots like we just saw Victor Cruz drop if they're going to get back in this game. The time is clearly on Cincinnati Bengals' favor right now. That's why we're seeing them let them run the ball more consistently and drop the ball off.
You know, you saw Bradshaw over there on the sideline, and there are many around the Giants that will tell you he's had surgeries on each of his feet. They were re-aggravated after he had the back-to-back games of 57 rushes for over 300 yards. Over 200 of those came against the Browns and a big game against the 49ers. But if there's one player in this Giant team, maybe more than anybody, looking forward to the bye week, it will be Ahmad Bradshaw, because let's face it, the Giants offense has been at its best this year when they have run the ball.
And that's true of so many offenses, but no more so than the Giants, who, as we say, straight ahead ball running, or I should say the running game that leads to the play action fakes and the vertical shots to the outside.
In the hands of Bennett on 3rd down, and when you're down 31-6, this will be a 4th down try for New York.
has kind of, so far this year, kind of picked up the reps or the attempts, the targeting, I should say, of Mario Manningham last year and Jake Ballard. They kind of combined that into Bennett, although he's really been not much of a factor here.
Well, 4th down and 4. Giants 4 of 4 on 3rd down, including 1 today, and not this time. Great coverage by Newman on Hakeem Nicks. Nearly an entire quarter to go. It may seem like an even longer day for the Giants.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go. By Pizza Hut, make it great. And by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
This Bengals defense has been very, very impressive here today. Terrence Newman, former 2-time Pro Bowler with the Dallas Cowboys, coming to Cincinnati during the offseason. Cedric Pearman on 1st down, up across the 35, up to the 37-yard line, a gain of close to 5.
And this is where Cincinnati, they come out of the no huddle. Why? Because you want to draw down as much clock as you can. You're almost already in a 4-minute mentality, meaning that you're going to run the ball, play action fake. Not going to throw the ball a whole lot, mainly because you don't want the clock to stop.
Randy Dalton, a Pro Bowler as a rookie a season ago, led the Bengals to a 9-7 record. One of 3 teams in their division that went to the playoffs. Don't forget that. You know, much is made frequently about the NFC East. Brian, you know all about the AFC North. I mean, these last 3 or 4 years, we know about the Steelers, you know about the Ravens, and you could throw the Bengals into the mix. I mean, twice they've been to the playoffs in the last 3 seasons.
And a lot of people coming in thought you could see the 2 wild card teams coming out of this division clearly. And there's a lot left to play here. When you look at the schedules of these teams, the AFC, the Ravens and Pittsburgh are going to play twice in the next two or 3 weeks. They're very safe calls here, as you can tell. Not wanting to risk the turnover, not putting the ball down the field. You got to be careful not being, closing down that playbook too much. But right now, the time at over 12 minutes is clearly in the favor of Cincinnati. You can see here, this looks odd because, okay, Cincinnati 3-5. What are the chances? Well, the fact that Baltimore and Pittsburgh are going to play one another, you're also vying for what really is a wide open AFC wildcard position. You can see Cincinnati getting on a run here, particularly if they continue to play like this. They run off the next 5. You're sitting there at 8-5, or 8-5, and then they got to play Pittsburgh and Baltimore. So they're going to have to earn it, but they're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination.
Ruben Randall from the 8-yard line. Nice return, still on his feet, tripped up to the 22. 12:07 to go in Cincinnati. All Bengals leading 31-6. Career day for Andy Dalton. First time he's thrown 4 touchdown passes in a game, and they say, hey, that playbook,
don't need it, baby.
Don't need it anymore.
Those pictures don't tell me anything I don't already know.
And on 1st down throws, Andre Brown the catch, and wrapped up and shoved out of bounds at the 27. Wednesday on Fox, the X Factor. All new live. The judges have had their share of disagreements about the top 12, but your opinion is the only one that matters. Your vote decides their fate. The X Factor.
True talent and raw reality. This Wednesday and Thursday on Fox. See, I don't even need you. You can just give me the cards. You can take the next card off. I'll do it.
Well, I tell you, you have really stepped up in the promotions department this week.
I got this business down. Oh, got a flag.
Flag in the secondary as Manning was driven to the ground by Wallace Gilberry. But that was not the penalty.
Illegal contact, 58 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
That's Malaluga, and he has become a real lightning rod for the fan base here in Cincinnati. Many feel like he has not played up to nearly all the potential and all the hype he had, like so many others really of late coming out of USC.
Well, and coming out of USC, the book on Malaluga was he would play out of control. that great talent. You can see here on the right, you just can't, that little bump, oh boy. I don't know about that. I guess that was. But an undisciplined player that they feel like would become more and more disciplined once he got into his career.
Big strong running by Andre Brown, and he's up to midfield. Brown's an unbelievable story. Of course, you know, he had a 4th-round pick by the Giants in 2009, was waived, and that began a journey of 4 different teams, cutting him 8 times over the next year and a half. Re-signed by the Giants last August. They cut him again, put him on the practice squad, is on the active roster this year. And then in week 2, when Bradshaw went down, he had a 71-yard gain and then had a 113-yard effort against Carolina.
Boy, it's been a rough day for Manning here. Just the pocket collapsing around him. Then we got turnovers, Bradshaw with 2 of them. And then how many, the ball gets batted up on a turnover that set up a touchdown here. And then another batted ball back on the ground. Nothing much right for the New York Giants and Eli Manning right now. Mike Zimmer doing a great job. Again, we said going out to the beginning, this is kind of a no-name group. Not a lot of people aware of the players that they had in Cincinnati.
Well, you got an example right there, Geno Atkins, and about how well he's playing right now. He sniffed out that screen from the very beginning. The question is, are they going to get him on a penalty for having an arm wrapped around who is at Andre Brown trying to come out on the screen?
Holding, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic.
Yeah, and you can normally get away with this on the screen when a defensive lineman sniffs it out right here. He knows what's going on. Just by the way the tackle pushed him out, he knew that this was going to be a screen. You can show a presence, but you can't actually hold a guy like that. Good veteran move.
First and 10, Manning the play fake, looking for the bundle for Nix, and you can't cover it any better than that. We talked about Manning coming off one of the worst games of his career. 125 passing yards, an interception against the Steelers. Back-to-back weeks under 200 passing yards. He did not have a single game all of last year.
Yeah.
Under 200, and now it's 3 of the last 4.
Well, besides looking like my portfolio of late, the hardest thing to do sometimes is separating the play of the quarterback from the team around him. And right now, I think it's evidenced by both. This is not just Eli Manning, it's the lack of efficiency of what's going on around him as well.
Hit from behind, and the football is stripped. And that is another Giants turnover. The biggest difference between these 2 teams more than any other coming into this game, the Bengals had not forced turnovers. The Giants had forced turnovers. It is a complete role reversal here today.
Today's game is sponsored by Ford and the Go Further with Ford Night.
31-6, Bengals in front after the strip, and then the recovery by Wallace Gilberry on the sack of Manning. And Green Ellis for a yard on first down. This Bengal defensive front has harassed Manning virtually from the get-go here today.
And they've been a group that has put consistent pressure on the quarterback. Again, a group that you don't hear a lot about. Part of the counter to that is they've given up a lot of big plays that counteracts those sacks, but they have not done that today, and that's the key.
Marcus Kuhn, the rookie, out of North Carolina State, injured, will be helped to the Giants sideline.
Right now, this is a group searching for answers. Ahmad Bradshaw searching for how do I hold on to it.
Dominic Hickson left the game early with an injured ankle. Been a very, very quiet day for Victor Cruz. Not many teams have slowed him down the way he's been shut down today. Green Ellis going to stay inbounds. And we check in out in Los Angeles once more with Kurt Menefee.
Well, the amazing comeback of Adrian Peterson continues. Already over 1,000 yards, and this is the 10th game of the season. This 61-yard touchdown run, part of his 143-yard rushing day. And the Vikings just recovered a fumble, already up 31-17 over Detroit midway through the fourth quarter. What an amazing story, Tom and Brian.
That is a huge, huge game for Minnesota. They've been starting to slip quite a bit after the fast start.
Detroit had a little momentum coming into this game.
Gresham makes a reception on third down, but he'll be 2 yards shy of the first down. For Chicago, playing in a big one against the Houston Texans. That'll be later tonight, but Green Bay at 6-3 behind Chicago at 7-1 in that NFC North, and Minnesota with a chance to go to 6-4.
Well, here's the schedule we alluded to for Cincinnati. Marvin Lewis really felt like all but at 3-5. If they could get this game, they could make a run. And you can see here, winnable, certainly winnable, all but at San Diego. Dallas and Philadelphia, and the way they're struggling, could lead them to that big series in the division against Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
On fourth down, the Bengals are going to go for it. Or either they'll just let the clock, they get in a timeout before the timeout is called. Delay of game. They did not get off the timeout. Did they mean to? I think Marvin Lewis is wondering what happened.
Well, this goes back to what they were asking of them in terms of the check system. He didn't have time. And now they're going to, I guess, send the punt team on, which is okay. It's probably what they ought to be doing anyway. You lose the yardage. I don't know whether that was by design. So often you see teams in this instance deliberately take a penalty to back it up, because now it gives your punter a better chance of kind of keeping it inside the 20. Whether that was the design or not, I'll pretend it was. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
So the punt team comes out, and you wonder, is Eli Manning coming back out? Does not have the helmet on over on the sideline. His day looks like it might be over.
Boy, and the game all but at 8:39. Okay, but you take Eli Manning out of the game. Is he hurt? Is it?
I'm just
don't want to
speculating.
expose it to it.
I'm not so sure he's out of the game. He just looked like with the helmet off. But perhaps his day could be over. That will be down at the run if he's going to come back. And it looks like he is. He'll start this drive from his own one as Hawkins gets to that one. Gotham looking for help from Batman, because there's already been major damage turned in by the boy wonder. Andy Dalton, 4 touchdown passes, a career high. First down, and Barden on the catch. They had a really cool exhibit outside of the stadium here today, and they're Batman fans all over the world. Every car that has been used going back to the days of Adam West, right, when we were kids.
Wow.
And all the cars or vehicles that have been used in Batman movies ever since started a tour here at Paul Brown Stadium today.
I wasn't that much of a kid. That's how old I am. I'm glad you showed me that, because I thought they play the Raiders here in 2 weeks. I just thought this guy was early.
Andre Brown up to the 21, short of the first down. What a day for Andy Dalton. Not a huge passing yards day at 299 in a loss last week, but they've been operating on short field.
Yeah, they have. That's not Andy Dalton's fault.
Yeah.
Right, he's got the efficiency, and he went as many yards as he had to score. Just because it was a short one wasn't his fault.
It's good enough for a first down up to the 28-yard line. And we check in once more with Kurt Menefee.
Well, a reminder that America's Game of the Week comes your way when you guys are done. Most of you will catch Tony Romo and the Cowboys at Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles. Both teams 3-5. kind of survival Sunday for somebody. The other team getting forked by Jimmy afterwards. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
Philadelphia, it seems like that has been drama week in and week out for the better part of 2 years. All the issues with Michael Vick. Many believe Andy Reid is on the hot seat. I mean, look, the Giants more than likely are going to lose this game today.
Yeah, but one of these teams is about to get 4 wins, okay? And now I'm just 2 games back. You can see why we coaches get so, hey, we're not out of it. I know we're 3-5, but one of these two is going to find themselves within 2 games of the Giants, a slumping Giant team that tends not to play very well in November. Stand by, Batman.
31-6, 6:32 to go. Adam Jones helped off the field. Second down for Manning. Steps up and finds Brown out of the backfield. And he's run out of bounds.
You were talking about Andre Brown and the job he's done. He's keeping their first-round draft choice last year, David Wilson, on the sideline. That tells you how good a job this young man's doing. And Wilson got in the doghouse early because of the turnovers. They feel like he's come back. But still, it's Brown who's been in the game for them pretty much the second half.
Third down and Manning throws complete. That's good enough for a first down to Cruz up to the 39-yard line. Told you the Giants will have their first bye week, their only bye week next week. They're in that last group of teams. So you go back to the 4 preseason games, play 10 games to start this year before you finally get a break, and they need it. Falcons' perfect season in jeopardy, although they have the ball at the New Orleans 1-yard line, trailing by 4. Peyton and the Broncos remain red hot, and the Ravens just taking the Raiders apart. 55-20. Mercy.
I think there's a statement being made by John Harbaugh on his offense. He's a little tired of hearing people question about his offense. That'll do it for at least a week.
You know, you started to talk about, and we started to talk about, Tom Coughlin and his teams in the first half of the season in his 9 years since they have been there. They're 53-19. Second half of seasons at 27 and will now be 39. And they'll go to 13-21 in the month of November under Coughlin. And naturally, that's going to be a big deal in New York and the greater metropolitan New York area in terms of covering this team as Brown gets loose and he's run out of bounds at the 20. But I loved Tom Coughlin's response, and we asked him about it yesterday. He said, you know what? I'll take our finishes over the last 9 years up against just about anybody. He's won 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years.
And this is not untypical of a second half season. You can see the teams, this playoff contention, playoff contention, playoff contention, playoff contention. In years past, typically, it would be a schedule heavy in the NFC East, which means it's going to be very competitive. So there is a reason for it. But still, those numbers, as a coach, you got to question, okay, we do have to look at what are we doing in November? What has led to this beyond just, okay, we're playing good teams. This is a 3-5 Cincinnati Bengal team. That this is a surprise, not only that you lost, but you lose at least currently 31-6.
Cowboys and Eagles. Some will see the Rams and the 49ers coming up next on America's Game of the Week. Manning steps up, and it's inside the 5 on the catch by Bennett. Stay tuned following the game. It'll be the Pepsi Game Break Show, leading you up to game 2 of our doubleheader over most of these same stations. America's Game of the Week. And that truly is a game for survival. maybe in a playoff picture. Cowboys and the Eagles.
In the NFC in particular, it's not so much that you're competing for the NFC East, but competing for the wild card division, so to speak. And the way you have some of the other teams playing in the NFC, hard to imagine a wild card team coming out of a team that starts 3-6.
Manning throws it away under heavy pressure once more from Geno Atkins. This guy, we've talked about him already. This is an emerging star for the Bengals.
Just inside and keeping the relentless pressure on from the inside. He was actually looping on the inside. Great effort on his part.
Attempts now for Manning since his last touchdown pass. He'll hand it off to Brown, who leaps over the pile and into the end zone, a touchdown. That's a 7th rushing touchdown for Brown. We talked about what a nice job he's done.
Getting some nice ups, some nice verticals here.
You know, Brian, in all seriousness, I told his story a moment ago. If you include twice with the Giants, has been cut 10 times. When you watch this guy run like we saw earlier this year against Tampa Bay after Bradshaw got hurt, had 113 yards in a game against Tampa Bay and then the next week against Carolina. How does a guy, when you watch Andre Brown run and catch a ball out of backfield, how does this guy get cut 10 times?
Well, it shows you it's such a subjective perspective. Talk about Chase Blackburn. We talked with Marvin Lewis, that said this guy was in this building last Thanksgiving. Didn't think they had a place for him. He ends up going to New York, and what we just hear, that Tom Coughlin says this is one of the best defenders they have on their defense. How does a guy like that get out of any building at that point? It's opportunity meets with the preparation. Brown found and continued on, had the opportunity here that maybe he didn't have in some of the other places to exhibit his abilities, and all of a sudden you find that home, and it's a great story. It's what this league is all about.
The Giants don't get their first touchdown until 2:46 left in the game.
Well, he's gone back-to-back. Andy Dalton has taken on Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Numbers, again, kind of pedestrian, but the 4 touchdowns, not a huge amount of yards, but it didn't need to be, simply because he started with great field position.
Giants had turned it over 4 times in the game.
Clearly going to see an onside kick here. A lot of times teams will call timeout to see how they're configured before the onside kick. I don't know that New York will take that opportunity here. May want to hold on to a timeout.
Apparently New Orleans came up with a stop. Atlanta had the ball on the 1-yard line. And now all of a sudden New Orleans has it back with under 2 minutes to go, leading the unbeaten Atlanta Falcons. We'll tell you all about it on the Pepsi Game Break show coming up. Check in back in Los Angeles with Patrick O'Neill.
Yeah, Tom, you just mentioned it. Let's show it to you. Falcons Saints, Matt Ryan, 4th and goal, looking for Roddy White. Jabari Greer breaks it up. It's still 31-27, a minute 20 left. Saints are going to be punting the ball back to Matt Ryan, who already has thrown for over 400 yards. Let's go back to Tom and Coach Billett.
Well, looks like that's going to be a 1. That's going to be a 5. We'll see. That one's going to be a 4, maybe. We'll see. God, you got to love this league, don't you?
I mean, I've just always wondered, and I think a lot of fans out there, I'm a fan, and you look at it the same way. You always wonder how in the world you have the ball on the opponent's 1-yard line and first down, and you cannot get it into the end zone. Here in Cincinnati, you know why? They'll always remember the Super Bowl where one of the most feared runners during his time in the NFL. Remember Pete Johnson out of Ohio State? 4 times the 49ers stopped him inside the 2 going for the win in the Super Bowl.
You want to know why? Because the other guys on the other line of scrimmage get paid too.
I tell you, I'm going to ponder that during the 2-minute warning. Second down run by Green Ellis as the clock begins to wind its way down. 150. That Cincinnati defense just completely shut down this Giants offense here today.
This division, as odd as it sounds, with Baltimore obviously being out ahead, you're talking about a very confident Pittsburgh team. I mentioned earlier that they're going to play Baltimore 2 out of the next 3 weeks. Marvin Lewis said, if we could get this game, you know, we just need this one game. If we can get that, we feel like we can be a factor here. And that's really get through November and just be a factor, be in the mix. That's all you can ask of a team.
Green Ellis spins off one tackle as a first down, and that will tie a ribbon around this one. So Andy Dalton getting the win, a 4-touchdown game for the first time in his career. These teams, a home team has always won in this series. It's only the 9th meeting between the two. And Eli and Manning and the Giants are going to spend a lot of time wondering how to get things turned around as they limp into the bye week on back-to-back losses against the AFC North and the Steelers and now the Bengals. And Manning will go 3 straight games without a single touchdown pass. And only one other time has that happened in his career, and that's going all the way back to 2004. 31-13. Bengals over the Giants. Our entire crew will see you next week. Let's go back to the